on YouTube because we usually have like 5 views a month.
Okay, it looks like it's going to YouTube in a moment.
All right.
Okay, it's done. It's going to YouTube.
Because we usually have like 5 views a month.
Okay, it looks like it's going to YouTube in a moment.
All right.
Okay, it's done. It's going to YouTube.
Because we usually have like 5 views a month. And
Okay, it looks like it's going to YouTube in a moment.
apparently we need to have
It's done. It's going
people
to
mute their microphones.
We usually have like 5 views a month.
And feedback.
Okay, it looks like it's going to YouTube in a moment.
Apparently we need to have
It's done. It's going
people
to
mute their microphones. All right. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone. Aside from our guest speakers this evening, do we have any guests who should be recognized? If so, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands up, so we will move on. Did Tom provide either of you with the land acknowledgement slide?
I don't think
If
so.
not,
I'm gonna look.
Forego that and move on, and we'll get that for next month. Okay, we do have a quorum. Are we ready to launch a poll for the approval of our minutes for March?
If you need a motion, I move that we approve the minutes from March.
And I second it,
Okay.
Gian.
If we have the poll, can we launch that poll?
Oh, God.
If there isn't a poll, we could
I
just
do
use
have-
the
I
raise
do have
hand.
the poll. Hold
Sorry.
on. Jeez.
My apologies to our guests. We have elected a new tech officer, and the technology has been cooperating with them tonight. So things will be momentarily delayed. All right, everyone, vote early and often. Vanessa, I see your hand. Are you just voting, Vanessa? Or
Yeah, I was voting. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Give it about 10 seconds.
Okay, end it.
Okay, looks like it as approved. All right, moving on to our agenda for tonight. I did have Ricardo Ortega message me that he has to catch a plane at 7:30. Ricardo, are you on the line, and is that still an issue that you need to speak right away?
If it's okay with the group, yes, please.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda, moving Mr. Ortega to the front of the line so that he can catch his flight.
Move approval. Patero.
McDougal
Brown
second.
seconds it.
Only one of you can make the motion.
Go ahead, Monica. You
No,
got
I was
this.
seconding it.
I know, but she's your alternate, so can't play that way.
McDougal.
I'm actually not her. I'm not actually not her an alternate. I'm her appointed person. So can she still second it?
No, we're good, but it's good. Gianna seconded it.
All right.
We're good.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Right.
Aye.
Yes, and I am forgoing the poll for a moment so that we can get to our speakers. Any opposition? Okay. Not hearing any. All right. Let me pull up the timer. All right. For each of our guest speakers, you've been notified you'll be allotted up to 3 minutes to speak, followed by up to 5 minutes for questions. And as I indicated to everyone in the email for our agenda, these are candidates for statewide office for the state party. These are the contested elections. So we're starting with Ricardo Ortega, who is a candidate for secretary. And we can get Mr. Ortega spotlighted, please. Okay. All right. As soon as you begin speaking, I'll start the timer.
Well,
So,
thank you so much, everyone, for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I appreciate your flexibility. My name is Ricardo Ortega. I'm running for party secretary. I ran for state assembly in the 34th Assembly District, which covered 3 counties: San Bernardino, LA, and Kern County. I was able to be a homeowner here in California at 21, leaving foster care. I am a former foster youth. I wrote legislation when I was 16 years old, my second legislation when I was 17 years old, both signed into law by Governor Newsom. The reason why I'm running for party secretary is really to making sure that we go back to the grassroots. When I was running for state assembly, I ran around suburban and rural communities and voters, and a lot of them said, "But I don't identify with the party anymore. The party is lost." And so a lot of them really wanted to focus on what can we do as Democrats to be the alternative to Donald Trump? How can we make sure that you guys make it more known about stories like you and elevate people like you who have stories, who are able to accomplish the American dream, the California dream of being successful, living here, and also making sure that we involve more of the Central Committee folks to re-register formerly convicted felons. When I was running for state assembly, that was one of my biggest things. I had events with community leaders that were called Carros and Charros, where we involved the Latino community. We also focused on former foster youth, juvenile justice youth, and making sure that we target those individuals. And so I think for us, one of the reasons why I'm running as a young Dem is making sure that the party has a voice and also reaches out across the aisle, and making sure that we bring back those individuals that we're losing to the Republican Party. And so I really hope that I can get your support at convention. I really want to make sure that I work with the central committees, with the local activists, the local grassroots efforts to bring back what the Democratic Party used to be, which was electing people who wanted to be successful and work for the working class. And so I really hope that with your support, we'll be able to accomplish that together in the next election and helping down ballot candidates be elected to public office. And so I really hope that we can do that together. And I want to make sure I respect your time. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak in front of you all. Thank you.
all right. Thank you. And we will now move on to questions. Remind everyone, please submit your questions to me in chat so that we can forward them to the candidates. First question I have for you is, what is your plan to resist the federal administration and your vision for the future, especially to win California congressional districts?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I think for me, it's making sure that we not only go across the state, but also making sure that we really identify who are those individuals and do they align with our party, but also making sure that we involved and speak with voters in those specific districts and also with young voters, since that's our next phase for the Democratic Party, making sure that we uplift their concerns and really listen to the needs of the community with those candidates. And so I really hope that together with BCCC, with different folks, that are leading those efforts on the ground level, giving them ideas of thinking outside the box. Why was it that Republicans really focused on influencers and social media with TikToks? What is the party going to do to catch up to Republicans on that front? Getting more influencers to support our candidates.
Okay. The next question is, how would you change the state party to help meet the challenges of the time?
I think for us is really making sure that, if elected, working with our my colleagues in the leadership team to do a listening session across the state and having a really honest conversation about where are the gaps and also what resources do our grassroots activists need to have the tools necessary to address those concerns and to elect more Democrats to our school boards and to our city councils, our state assembly. And so it's really having honest conversations, but also being strategic of how we're going to change the electorate to be more friendly to Democrats and to win back those minority groups we lost.
Okay, the next question. What is your short headline talking point to support the party and fight Trump?
I think for us is really making sure, again, that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and keep pushing that message of Donald Trump is not here to save the working class. He's not a savior for none of us. He's really there to take care of the people that fund his whole campaign. And we need to kick that messaging even further and really get the misinformation of anarchy out of the mentality of uninformed voters and informing them of what is actually going on and who is Donald Trump really for.
All right. Next question. What do you feel is a top reason residents that do not vote or are not associated with the party should be more engaged and participate in the democratic process?
For me, I had a big population of MPPs and independent voters, and I was able to get a lot of their support in my candidacy for state assembly. And yeah, hi. And for me, is making sure that we really bring them into our party, bring them into that the party is really for the working people and open to progressive values, but also having an honest conversation and really focusing back on the community issues that are going on in the districts and in the communities.
Okay, I do not have any more questions coming in. Oh, sorry, I have, they just come in. Please share an example of when you stood up to fight for a cause near to the hearts of your constituents, even though you had pressure not to from those that did not embrace change.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think that's a very important question. One of the things that I did really was fighting against this negative stereotype of I'm too young to run for public office. And one of the ways that I was able to fight back against that was the fact that I was able to get member support and Speaker Rivas and other elected officials that really saw the potential of having young people in office, but also a lot of people in government really didn't see these regions as in need of healthcare. Like my district did not have a pediatric trauma center, and we had to travel a couple hours down below just for that. And so just elevating those concerns.
Thank you so much. That's our time. We appreciate you taking the time to join us while you're en route for your flight. And safe travels and good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
And our next, I'm going to go back to our regular order. So the person I had listed on the agenda was our incumbent chair, Westy Hicks. And all right, as I said with Mr. Ortega, 3 minutes for your presentation, and I'll start the timer when you begin speaking.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Solano Democrats. It's great to be with you this evening. I see some familiar faces and some new ones as well. For those of you that have not yet had the opportunity to meet by way of introduction, my name is Rusty Hicks. I'm the current chair of the California Democratic Party and running for re-election at the upcoming convention. As many of you may know, I've served in this role for the last 6 years, having been elected and then re-elected for those 6 years. And certainly it's been an adventure of one new thing after the other of leading the largest party, state party in the nation. I'm an organizer. I came out of the labor movement, the LA County Federation of Labor, where I was the president and political director. I'm a classroom educator. I teach incarcerated students about American government at Pelican Bay State Prison every Monday, and I'm a proud veteran of the United States Navy. Look, well, we live in a challenging moment in our country and in our state. And I want to thank you to each and every one of you for all you've already done and for what you will continue to do. I appreciate the communication that you all shared with me and my colleagues, calling upon all of us to really do more. I think before we move forward to 2026 and beyond, we have to take a moment to reflect and reckon with what happened in 2024. The good, which is that we won 6 of 8 targeted seats. We flipped 3 red seats to blue. And I think that's something to be incredibly proud of, despite the political winds that we faced across the nation. But we also have to reflect on the not so good, which is that turnout was depressed. There was challenges and slippage with Latinos, with young voters, with working class voters, and we have to reckon with that into the upcoming election cycle. I believe we do that to hold on to what we have, to pick up new seats and retake the House in 26 and cut Trump's term in half. That's really what winning in 2026 is about. We cannot wait until 2026. I think we double down on the organizing that we've done in 2022 and 24 to help us win in 26. I think we've got to communicate in new and different ways. Obviously, there are some in the Democratic eco space that are doing that better than others. We need to learn lessons from them and adopt them as our own. We need to have a coordinated communication strategy, as your message to me pointed out. And I think we have to raise the dollars in line with the values of the party. So I'm proud of the work that we've done. There's a lot more to do, and I'd be honored to earn your support at the upcoming convention.
Great. Thank you for that. We have, again, we'll have 5 minutes. I'm going to ask those of you who did not clearly identify that your question was for all candidates. If you want me to ask Rusty, please drop it in chat again. So the first question is, what is your plan to resist the federal administration and your vision for the future, especially to win California congressional districts?
Well, first I would say is that I think California has a unique role to play in this particular moment. You know, the now 4th largest economy in the world, the place where 1 of 8 of Americans live, has to be a big and outsized voice in this particular fight. I think we legislate. If we can't do it in Washington, D.C., we do it here in Sacramento, where I'm at today. We legislate in a way that delivers for all Californians, to be an example of what it means when democratic governance does the right thing, does what's good for all Californians. I think we litigate. A.G. Bonta wakes up every morning and figures out how he's going to sue Donald Trump. That's something that we as Californians, I believe, should be proud of. I think where you and I in this conversation tonight come into play is that we organize. We won the seats that we won in 2024 because we organized for 18, 20, 24 months in preparation to win those seats. And I think we've got to communicate the good work that's happening on the legislative front, the good work that's happening on the litigation front, the good work that we are doing organizing all across California. The seats that we're going to hold are going to be hard to hold. Flipping them was not easy. Holding on to them will not be easy. But I think we can protect them and maybe squeeze out one or two more to help us get the House in 2026.
Given the centrist position many Democrats seem to be taking right now, how will you ensure that progressive ideology is not left out of the Democratic Party platform?
Well, I think the platform of the California Democratic Party is one of the most healthy, robust, expansive platforms in the nation. I think it's probably 30 or 40 pages or more. It's substantial. And I think that's speaks to the democratic values that are really the big tent of our party. Ultimately, the question is, how does that platform translate into legislation that is ultimately put into action that helps deliver on the issues that are top of mind for Californians? I believe the California Democrats have been delivering on a ton of good stuff. I'm not sure all of that stuff has been top of mind for Californians, especially those in, historically underinvested communities across California. And so I think the progressive voice in California will remain strong and continue to be, an important voice on the national stage.
Um, what do you plan to do differently than you have in the past to resist Trump's agenda?
Well, I think we always take a moment, take a pause after each election to assess what worked and what didn't. I think we have taken a deeper look at this particular election cycle to fully understand not just what the data shows from a um, quantitative standpoint, but what it's meant from a qualitative standpoint. Why did a voter in the Inland Empire decide to vote for a Democratic president and for a Republican member of Congress, or vice versa? And what does that really translate into for our work going forward? So first is, I think, the reflection that it takes. Two is, I think, because we are having to both protect and deliver. We have to protect those that are under attack from Washington, D.C., the White House, and Republicans in Congress. And we have to deliver in a way that showcases what democratic leadership can actually mean in the lives of regular people. I don't think we've done the best job at doing that. I don't think that's just the state party. I don't think that's just the labor movement. I don't think that's just county committees. I think it's really all of us. And so I think a much more coordinated strategy. I certainly recognize there's a general viewpoint that not enough is being done at this particular moment. And in some cases, I agree with that sentiment. But I do think that a coordinated strategy going forward is the way we move past this particular moment. So thank you for the opportunity to answer the questions.
Thank you. I have a lot of other questions here for you. Obviously, we're out of time, so with your permission, I will email them on to you, and hopefully you'll have the opportunity to respond to our members as your time permits.
Sure, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us this evening, and good luck to you. Let's see. Next, we have Alan Vargas. I saw him earlier. Okay. Okay, Mr. Vargas, welcome. As I've said to all of our candidates, you'll have 3 minutes to make your opening presentation. Time will start when you begin speaking.
All right, for sure. Thank you. Good evening, y'all. It's so great to be with you. My name is Alan Vargas. So I'm a social media content creator, so TikToker, some people have mentioned. And I live here in the Inland Empire. I come from the immigrant rights movement, also union activist, but my family's on the front lines of this administration's attacks on our communities. Every day I speak up, it's a day that my family might be at risk. But I decided to run for California Democratic Party chair because I'm ready to take on that hard work, because I have those tough conversations every day with people who don't feel that this party is a home to them, to the young person who left because they didn't feel that the party had a strong enough stance on a policy issue that they very much cared about between Israel and Palestine. But also, I'm running because a lot of Latinos have felt left out of the process or taken for granted. And I'm running to also make this party a stronger party, because I know that we could do it if we all put in all of that hard work. We have those tough conversations. We meet with people who have disagreed with our party and maybe left. But also because I know that if we all put in that hard work, we can do it together. I want to do things like fund a local autopsy to see what are big issues that our voters care about. I also want to make sure that we have aggressive messaging, because this administration is grabbing my colleagues, my friends off the street for sharing an opinion they don't like. And that doesn't happen in a healthy democracy. Al Gore said that we are mirroring what Nazi Germany was before, the rest of the history happened. And if it calls for us to aggressively fight back, I don't want to be the generation that saw American democracy die. I'm pretty sure nobody on this call wants to be the generation that saw American democracy die. So we have to fight with everything in our hearts, with the legislation, the protest, get creative with how we fight back as well, because it is going to require all of us to do that hard work to protect the labor movement, to protect families like mine who are at risk every day. Here in the Inland Empire, we lost 15 to 20 of our day laborers who were picked up by Border Patrol. And the anxiety that flooded over my body, but I still continued to go help out families and continue to share red cards with our communities, because I know that I may be anxious at this moment, but we have to continue pushing forward, because anxiety is temporary, but protecting those that we need to protect is the immediate thing that was on the top of my mind. And I very much hope to earn the support of everyone here and have those tough conversations and build a party of the future, because I want to revamp this party and renew it for the future.
All right. Okay, and again, we have 5 minutes for questions from our members. The first question is, what is your plan to resist the federal administration and your vision for the future, especially to win California congressional districts?
Number one, it involves us to start talking with our voters and reach out to those voters that either sat out this election or, voted for the Republican. I know this very much firsthand because I have some in my family, registered Democrats who voted for Donald Trump. And we have a big issue with misinformation, but also they told me, Alan, I'm not voting for your party because I don't feel that you're addressing my needs. I can't survive. I can't buy a house. As another young person, I'm never in the cards of going to be able to own a house. So making sure we're having those tough conversations, because when we have those tough conversations and we bring people in and listen to that criticism and make the necessary adjustments and talk about real bread and butter issues and really make the connection that our party is going to fight the billionaires and the rich and the powerful who are paying us crumbs and who are saying that other poor people are the reason that you are suffering, when that is simply not the case. So when we can have that strong message, I'm confident that American voters and our voters in these swing districts will have the confidence that this party is the party for them.
Okay. How do you ensure that BIPOC Dems continue to be engaged and feel supported, particularly Black women?
I think the very important part is really listening to what Black women have to say, because far too often Black women tell us what we have to do, but a lot of the times we don't end up doing it. So really much following through and supporting them in whatever it is that they're doing. If they want us to move on a particular issue, it very much warrants that we should move on a particular issue so that we actually are listening to them and not just taking them for granted and putting in that hard work. That is definitely also involving uplifting them through the party. That also involves that we mentor the next generation. And seeing a ton of young candidates running makes my heart so warm because it feels like I'm not crazy. I'm not demanding too much.
Okay. Next question. If elected, what would your first 100 days as chair look like?
Number one, traveling across the state. I want to be a very active chair. So not only in fundraising, but I also want to make sure that we're connecting with our different groups, building those coalitions with those groups in areas that we are trying to win seats in, especially with groups that we may share specific policies. Like, let's say one area, a group wants to build more apartment housing in, which is going to lower the housing crisis. I think it would be in our best interest to partner with them and to help them out and to also feel like, it's not transactional. We really are trying to improve the lives of working people across the state. So whether I visit LA, whether I visit the Central Valley and get a bit more sunburn or tanned, I'm going to make sure that we're out there in those communities and that people feel like the party is led by a working person. I'm not coming from a careerist. I work at a Hollister, so definitely I'm missing a bit of my paycheck, but definitely it's making sure that we can connect with those communities.
Okay. Next question. What specifically can we do to bring new people into the party and to get people to vote?
So definitely it's opening the doors. There is a very big, I hear it all the time from some young people. There is a very big attitude or belief that the Democratic Party doesn't like to hear new ideas or doesn't like to change, which, to be honest, I think even myself, I have the humility. Sometimes I'll say that I sometimes struggle with change, but we have to do it. And we also have to make sure that we're bringing in people and that they feel that we're not just using them for a token, but we're actually going to put in the work and we actually want you to be successful in this party. So whether we put you in a standing committee, whether you join caucus leadership, definitely making sure that that door is open and that nobody will be judged. All ideas are valid because this is our party. It's guided by the people who are active members, not just our electeds, but also our activists, our delegates, and our central committee members. And it's up to all of us to bring in those new people and guide them and make them feel welcome, take them out to dinner, help them with their own rallies. It's on all of us to make sure that this is a welcoming space for everybody.
Okay. Next question. How will you get the Democratic Party leaders to act more aggressively and become more vocal in combating Republican? I'm sorry. I see our time is up.
Don, you're on mute. We didn't hear you.
Sorry. I'd say thank you for joining us. And we appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good luck to you. Next on the agenda is David Campos, who is running for vice chair. I saw him earlier.
I'm here, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just need to find you so I can spotlight you. There you are. Okay. All right. And as I've been saying to everyone, you have 3 minutes for your presentation, and I'll start the timer when you begin speaking.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Solano County Democrats, for being here tonight, for giving me this opportunity. For me, becoming a Democrat was a very personal thing. I'm a gay man, and I came to this country as an undocumented kid and lived as an undocumented person for many years of my life. And I became a Democrat because the Democratic Party was, in my sense, the only party that really spoke to the humanity of people like me. And that's why I became a Democrat. And I became involved in Democratic politics because I wanted to make sure that people like me had an opportunity to be involved and be engaged. And that's why I eventually ran for the Central Committee, eventually became chair of the San Francisco Democratic Party. And I'm running today because now more than ever, the humanity of people like me, anyone who's not a straight white male, I don't mean any disrespect to those who are, but anyone who doesn't fit that is on the chopping block and is a target by this administration. I am running for re-election because I want to make sure that we push back to protect people like my parents who feel like this country no longer welcomes them. But it's not just feeling a sense of the need to fight back. It's knowing how to fight back, and that's really in the end why I'm running. I, as chair of San Francisco, worked with Nancy Pelosi. We were the army that she used to take back the House of Representatives. As a chair, I brought that perspective to my role as vice chair. And as Chair Higgs noted, notwithstanding the national Republican wins, we in California were able to have successes because we invested on a ground game. We were out in these communities early on, not just a year, 2 years, but 3 years. We went to 8 congressional districts, won 6 of those because we brought that perspective. And I am proud that I pushed the party at the state level to make sure that we were speaking to those communities that felt disenfranchised. And that's what I want to focus on because that's what I've dedicated my life to. How do we engage those Latino voters who felt that Trump was addressing the issues more than we were? And as a Latino man, it bothers me that 55% of Latino men voted for Trump. And I think that I know what we need to do to communicate better with those communities. We try to do that and can do better. How do we engage young people? I've dedicated my political life to activating young people. Jason Park, young member of the DNC, is my campaign chair. That's what I want to focus on, and I hope you give me that opportunity. Happy to take your questions.
Okay. As with all of our candidates, you have 5 minutes for questions. The first question: what is your plan to resist the federal administration and your vision for the future, especially to win California congressional districts?
Well, I think it really goes back to the ground game and organizing. I think that we need to beef up what we did, and we need to push other states to actually do the same, because even if California does everything right, we need to do more of that in other states. But I also feel like we need to look back at what worked and didn't work. And there are places where you had people who won in districts where Trump actually won, and yet you had Assembly Member woman Solano who won in the Central Valley. How do we learn from those races? I also think that we need to figure out how to speak differently to voters who feel like we weren't talking about bread and butter issues, and I want to go back to that.
Next question: how do you ensure BIPOC Dems continue to be engaged and feel supported, particularly Black women?
Well, I think that that's key to our to what happened this last time, that we didn't do enough to engage those communities. And I will tell you that we have a lot to learn from those communities. And when it comes to Black women, I mean, they're the most loyal Democrats, and I do think that what was said earlier, if we actually not only listened, but actually followed some of the advice. But I think that we need to find different ways of communicating with communities of color and immigrant communities, because what we're doing is not working. And that actually means bringing them to the table. Someone asked in the chat, how do we communicate better with young people? We need to have young people at the table. And these communities need to feel like they're a part of not just the strategy, but from the beginning, it's not just an afterthought, but they're actually working early on.
Okay, next question. What's one example of how you have helped move discussions to action on an issue that matters to community members?
mean, I'll give you the example, and it's a very personal one of dreamers and undocumented people who felt like they did not have a place in the California or the National Democratic Party. And I worked with Chair Hicks and other people to change the rules so that those streamers could actually be delegates in the party and be engaged in the process. And quite frankly, I think that's the key to engaging other communities and feeling like, they have a place in the Democratic Party. But I try to do that with everything that I do. I bring the perspective, not just a person of color, an immigrant, but I'm also a gay man. And right now, I feel like there are members of the LGBTQ community that are being targeted, especially the transgender community. How do we engage that community and make sure that they feel like we are looking out for their interests and are not leaving them behind?
Okay, next question. What type of messaging would you use to combat disinformation?
I think we need to be out there. I was actually speaking to your Assemblywoman Lori Wilson, who endorsed me, and we were talking about the importance of having a better communication strategy as a party. And that means listening to local parties like Solano, because you have a better understanding of how to communicate on issues that are important to you at the local level. I also think we need to push the national party. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like the national party doesn't get it. We need to have a cohesive vision to counter Donald Trump. And we're so afraid of saying the wrong thing that we're not saying enough. And we stay silent on these issues. And I think people want to hear from the Democratic Party, what is our counter vision for the kind of country that we want, and not just let this guy dictate not only the agenda, but the discourse.
Circling back to an earlier question, given the centrist position many Democrats, such as our governor, seem to be taking right now, how will you ensure that progressive ideology is not left out of the Democratic Party platform?
I'm a progressive Bernie Sanders Democrat, and I'm always trying to push the envelope. I think that to win back the House of Representatives and to take back the White House, we need to go back to basics. We need to talk about workers' issues. We need to get away from corporations. We're not going to take back our country by being Republican light. Let's be the Democratic Party that is progressive and that is pro-worker.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time to join us, and good luck to you. Next candidate on our list is Anthony. Is it Cairo? Maybe
Caro.
Caro, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
And let me remove Mr. Campos from the spotlight. All right. As with all of our candidates, you have 3 minutes for your presentation. I will start the timer when you begin speaking.
Thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to speak to your committee, and I hope to hear a lot of your concerns and your questions. So my name is Anthony Caro. I'm running for vice chair. I'm actually your neighbor to the south. I'm currently vice president of the West Contra Costa Democratic Club and involved with the Contra Costa County Central Committee. The reason I'm running for vice chair is because I want to do my part in strengthening and serving our party. My campaign is focusing on bringing young people back to the party and bringing our way of implementing our platform back to the basics, trying to support the working man, the common man. Most of my experience has been in local government. So I've ran for local school board, ran for county board. And I noticed that there's a disconnect between the way that the state party runs and the way that local politics is running. And what I want to do is I want to bridge. To me, central committees are supposed to be the bridge between the local and state and federal. And I want to give central committees more power and more voice to advocate for what their local Dems feel and need. And I feel that we are definitely not moving in the correct direction right now, and the statistics prove that. So in 2020, about 36% of young people voted for Trump. So that's age 18 to 29. That's 2020, 36%. That number grew to 46% in 2024. In 2016, about 45% of voters self-identified as Democrat. And in 2024, that number dropped to 35%. So we're seeing an increase in young people leaving the Democratic Party and voting for Trump. And then we're seeing overall a trend of people leaving the party. This shows that what we're doing is not currently working. So I'm running because I want to do my part to make sure that we're steering the ship in the right direction, to make sure that we're hearing from what our local clubs and our central committees are advocating for, and to give the people policies and push for what, how do I say this? The reason that Kamala lost, in my opinion, is because she wasn't talking about what's going to put food on the table for people. She wasn't talking about how we're going to improve test scores. She was talking very, very generic, very abstract, right? Her website didn't have a platform piece. I'm a military guy. I've served 4 years active duty. I've been in National Guard for the last 2 years. A lot of my friends are libertarian, Republican, and no party preference all around the spectrum. And the criticism that I keep hearing from people who have left the party or people who are anti-Dem is that we are out of touch with the common man. And I feel like we can do a lot better to bring people back on track. I'm a Bernie Sanders progressive as well, and we need to show people that these policies work.
All right, thank you. You now have 5 minutes for questions from our members. The first question is, what is your plan to resist the federal administration and your vision for the future, especially to win California congressional districts?
Our economy, right? So California has what the 7th largest economy in the world. California leads the way. We shape the nation's economy by what we do here. So an example is like EV cars. When we said that we were gonna phase out new gas cars, all of a sudden these companies started switching it to EVs because, right, not just in California but nationwide. Same thing with textbooks. When textbooks get edited in California, that affects the whole nation because we order so many of them. So the way to resist the federal government is to show that our policies work here, and then that'll trickle down to the other states as well. When we show that policies don't work in California, it doesn't give blue states and the rest of the country the teeth that they need to also push for these policies. The way that we're combating homelessness in California is it's not working to the degree that we need it to. And so, it gives people in swing states the mindset of, oh, well, if California's not doing these policies right, then maybe we shouldn't be voting blue. So the way that we combat the federal government is to show that our policies work, and to push for policies that do work, and then show that we can be the leader that we need to be to the rest of the country.
Okay. How do you ensure that BIPOC Dems continue to be engaged and feel supported, particularly Black women?
We don't turn our back on them, especially when they're new and they're trying to run. In my city, there was a Black woman who was running for office against an incumbent for city council, and the party didn't even give her the time of day because she was new. I feel that not only do we need to create spaces to hear from Black women and BIPOC people who are interested in politics, but we also need to give them the support that they deserve, especially if it's blue on blue. Like if you already know it's a safe seat, and there's no fear of splitting the vote, there's no need to not be cordial and say, hey, how can we support you? That person won, by the way, that Black woman won, and the party still wasn't there to guide her and show her, hey, let's pair you with a mentor, or let's ensure that you have the tools that you need to succeed. So I feel like we need to create more spaces for these people to voice their concerns, but also give them the supports that they need so that way they can succeed.
What's one example of how you have helped move discussions to action on an issue that matters to community members?
So as I mentioned, I'm a military man, right? I'm a sergeant in the Army. And so I'm always thinking about problem solving. So in my community, so I ran for Contra Costa County Board of Education. And there was a school that we were pushing to be closed and be rebuilt because there was a lot of asbestos and lead in the paint and all kinds of other hazards. So what I did was I called for a community town hall, and there was a lot of tears, there was a lot of yelling, there was a lot of people voicing their concern. A lot of children got sick, a lot of the workers got sick, and what we did was we created an action plan on what we wanted to get done. So one was close to school, two,
Next question. Candidates always talk about workers, but small business fuels the economy. How would you address their needs and include them in the conversation?
Yes, so it's very hard for small businesses, especially in our state, where our taxes are the way that they are, to compete with big businesses when it comes to like infrastructure support and our tax code. I think we need to reform Prop 13, right? And for those who aren't familiar, Prop 13 is what freezes property taxes at that 75, 76 rate. So companies like Disneyland and Chevron over here in Richmond, they're still paying the same property taxes from back then. Whereas new businesses today, whether they're starting today or whether someone just bought a business or they're transitioning to a new site, maybe they're trying to upgrade, they're paying current property tax rates because it's based on the point of sale as opposed to based on that's what it's based on. So it's very hard for our businesses to compete with these larger corporations where the tax code's not being fair. And that also takes money away from our schools because our schools are funded with property taxes. So that's another way, is we try to level the playing field right there for them.
All right, I think given that we have less than 10 seconds, I'm not going to try to ask another question. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening, and good luck to you.
Thank you for your time.
All right. And our next speaker is our candidate for secretary, our current secretary, Diana Love. So I see you in the room. If you are available, let's see.
I'm under a phone number. I couldn't get on the computer for some reason.
Okay.
So my phone number is 661-478-9330.
Okay, well, we see you.
You see me?
Well, we see that you're here. So let me see. As with all of our candidates, I give you 3 minutes for your presentation, and I'll start the timer when you begin speaking.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Solano County, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Diana Love, and I am the current secretary for the California Democratic Party, and I'm running for the re-election for a full term, and I hope to gain your support and endorsement and vote at convention. And I want to first welcome any and all new returning delegates to the party. And I live in Palmdale, Assembly District 34. And my background is in education in the field of gerontology, which is the study of aging. I have done a lot with working in the healthcare field, public health, working with foster children for several years. And I have also worked with the California State Assembly. In the past, and currently, I have served on several commissions and boards, and from the state level to the county and now to the party. I am a member of several of the caucuses. I'm also a past regional director. And I wanted you to know that I have upheld all my duties per the bylaws in accurate records, in taking in challenges, in reporting the information that needs to be reported back to the party. And I have also spent the majority of my time visiting as many county committees and clubs in many of the districts throughout all of the 58 counties. That is the one thing that I am very, very proud of and doing. I've also participated in fundraisers and walking for the rallies and the protests and being part of fundraisers and just talking with people. That is what people want you to do. And I feel that as a party leader, that's what we should be doing. We should be out there talking to people and giving them the time of day. I'm also a member of SEIU 2015, And I'm out there in the communities speaking, talking, as I said earlier, and also one of the main things that I have been doing is working with our youth. I've talked a lot to them, with them, and put them in positions and done coalition work with them. And several of them have been put on standing committees. Several of them have been part of the internship programs of the party. I have given them a lot of mentor information, and I've enjoyed working with them and talking with our youth because they are our future. We have been doing things in a different capacity for such a long time that we need new energy, we need new ideas, we need to always continue to organize. That is the most important thing to keep our country blue and the other states. Oh, I'll stop.
Thank you so much. And as with all of our candidates, you'll have 5 minutes for questions. The first question is, what is your plan to resist the federal administration and your vision for the future, especially to win California congressional districts?
Well, my vision for the future is that we have to continue to organize and listen to our community members. But we have to work together. We have the White House, we have DNC, and we have the state level. And it all trickles down from one to another. But we need to be at the table together. I've been on several meetings where the DNC makes reports and they tell us about the war room, and they have something that's called leaders coming together, and they and a people's cabinet. But I believe that the community wants their voice heard, and the grassroots, their voice is not being heard. So I would like to have an organization and have meetings and bring back those voices to my chair, to the officers, and then go up the chain to get things done, to see if we can change things. But I do know, and I believe that, I don't know that us at the state level has that much influence on the changes. Those changes are made at the national level, and those changes are made by votes at the national level. But we have to let them know what we're thinking because we are the ones that are living this. We're all living it, but we are the ones that are suffering through threats of our Social Security being taken away from us, from our schools being closed, people losing their jobs, food is expensive, gas is high, all of those different things. So I feel that we have to work together and never stop working together.
Thank you. How do you ensure that BIPOC Dems continue to be engaged and feel supported, particularly Black women?
Well, as a Black woman, I was listening to you ask that question to all of the other folks. And as a Black woman in this political arena, lately, I have felt that we are being pitted against all the other diversities. Everyone is feeling that it's their turn. I think it's all of our turn. We are a melting pot in a community that represents the state of California. We all have issues, we all have things that are very hurtful to our families, and we all suffer in actually the same types of ways, putting food on the table, being able to go to work. But the thing that I have found lately is that we are being cast aside, that we have no value. And I think we all have value. Um, all people of color, Asian, Latinos, Black women, everyone. But I have felt very put off by what's going on in the political arena when every other diversity feels that it's their turn and we should move aside. And I believe we should all work together. We're not going to get anywhere if we don't work together.
Thank you. What's one example of how you have helped move discussions to action on an issue that matters to community members?
Well, I'll tell you about past and present. Back during when then Congresswoman Katie Hill was in office, her very first bill came from me. It was a Medicare bill to reduce penalties for seniors who didn't register at age 65. And I was very proud that I brought that information to her, and that moved into the phase of trying to help seniors. And then, of course, she resigned. Presently, I am the policy and legislative chair of the Veterans Caucus, and I am submitting a proposal to help World War II and Korean veterans that are being, I don't want to say denied their health care, but it's being delayed for years through paperwork and things that are holding them back. And they're up in age. They're 80s and 90 years of age. So I'm submitting a proposal, and I have a conference call tomorrow to talk about how to move this forward. So that's some of the things that I'm trying to do.
Thank you very much. And we are running out of time again. So I appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much, and you all have a good evening.
And thank you again to all of our candidates who joined us this evening. Our delegates, hopefully you've had the opportunity to learn something about the people who are running for statewide office and get a sense of them. And for those of you who are not delegates, if you have formed an opinion about these candidates, let your fellow members know before we go vote on them in Anaheim at the end of May. Okay. And we did have a number of questions that obviously we did not have time to get to. I'm going to bundle them up and forward them to the different candidates. And if they choose to respond, I will send them back out to the membership. So, next item on our agenda is public comment. Public comment is for guests to the meeting. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. And total time for this comment period may not exceed 30 minutes. Additional time will not be granted to any one speaker. So if any of our guests wish to make a public comment at this time, please raise your hand. I am seeing no hands up, so I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and move on to our treasurer's report. Steve or Amber, do you have the treasurer's report to display, or do you need me to pull it up?
Can you pull it up, Don?
Okay, give me 1 second. Looks like we have it displayed here. Could be a little bigger. Let me see if I can share.
Oh, that's better.
Is that visible for everyone?
It's a little better.
Okay. Give me. All right. Okay, I guess Karen, it's on to you now to give your treasurer's report.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm going to give you the treasurer's report for April 2025. All right, so let's start with our federal account. We have a beginning balance as of 3/20/2025 of $12,190.08. Our credits were crab feed contributions. We had a few of those left over to come in at $112.10. We had some dues income come in at $70, with total credits of $182.10, boosting our balance to our ending balance to $12,372.18. Now, taking a look at what we had to pay out our River City Business Services, which was $1,180.25. Our storage unit, monthly storage unit fee of $153.99. Bank fees, Act Blue fees were $2.78. And then we had some crab feed expenses that weren't captured in the previous expense report that were captured this time at $207.92, an expense of Jeanette Wiley and an expense of Tom Bilbo for our Google of $206.81. I'm sorry, for our banners, $206.81 for total debts of $1,751.75. And when we look at our total federal ending balance, we subtract that from our ending balance after credits, and we get $10,620.43. Now, taking a look at our state account, the beginning balance was $7,540.16. We had contributions of $105, dues income of $35, for a total of $140, bringing that balance up to $7,680.16. Our debits on that was Act Blue merchant fees of $555. I'm sorry, $5.55. And subtracting that from our credits, we have a total state ending balance of $7,674.61. With our total federal and state accounts together, we have a total balance of $18,295.04. I just want to reiterate, I did send out information regarding renewal of our dues for this month, for this year, actually, for 2025. And at the end of the expense report, there is the Act Blue donation, SCDCC federal dues 2025 link, as well as the link for state dues. All right. Anybody with any questions or comments regarding the expense report? I mean, the treasurer's report. I'm all over the place tonight.
I'm not seeing any hands up
Okay,
or any questions, so thank you
you're
very
welcome.
much for that report.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to other reports, officers' report. I will share briefly. I was able to attend the Fairfield protest at the beginning of the month. I was not able to attend the one at the on the 19th, but I hear that it still had a decent attendance. And of course, we know there's many other events that have been going on throughout the county and the state and the nation. And so I would encourage those of you who wish to attend those, feel free. And aside from that, we are, of course, getting ready for the convention and all that activity. So, do any of our other officers have anything urgent that they need to report aside from the business that we'll be taking up a little later on? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, not seeing any hands up. Just remind everyone that we asked for elected official and club reports to be emailed in. Many of you did. Those of you who didn't, please get them mailed in to our secretary, and she will get them out as soon as is possible. Okay, next, moving on to business and committee reports. We adopted, as you know, 2 months ago, we adopted a motion to send a letter to the state party leadership, encouraging them to be more active and more visible in their opposition. And following from that letter, we had a discussion to prepare a resolution urging opposition to the administration. So I sent that out to people and want to get feedback from the members on this, whether you wish to adopt this resolution, you wish to wordsmith it, wish to set it aside. The party requires us to submit resolutions at least 30 days before the convention, so we would need to act on it this evening. I know that our regional director was planning on having a special meeting on resolutions, but I have not heard that actually date being set yet. So uh, with that, let's move to the resolution. I sent it out earlier. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read it. And does anyone have any thoughts they wish to share on it? Comments? Paula Bauer, let's see your hands up.
I like it. I think we should approve it and send it on and see what the state party does with it. And thank you, Don, for writing it.
All right. I appreciate the kind words. Is Pat, I see your hands up next.
I had to unmute myself, but yeah, I like it too. And I want to second, sending it out. I think it really gets to the point of what we want to, have happen. So I totally agree with what Paula said. So I urge you to send it out.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Is there just any further discussion? I'm not seeing any hands up. Do we have okay, we do have a poll. So please vote. Okay, looks like most of you have voted. All right, looks like we have overwhelming support for the resolution. So I will send that in. And thank you all. Next item I have is on the agenda is the bylaws committee, the club charter renewal. So Paula, if you want to take the floor and just remind people of the email and your deadlines.
Yes, I did send an email out to the club reps and to the president. Get me the information by May 10th. The bylaws committee will meet on May 20th at 7 p.m. on Zoom to make a recommendation at the following central committee meeting, I think on the 28th of May. If anyone has any questions, of course, let me know, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
All right, thank you for that, Paula. I'm not seeing any hands up. I'll just encourage everyone as you're preparing your reports to on your activities since the last rechartering to put some meat on the bones, so that we all have a good sense of what all the clubs are doing. I know we know what our own clubs tend to be doing, but we don't always track what every other club is doing. So we'll look forward to seeing those. Next item I had on the agenda was the communications committee. Michelle.
Hello.
You have a report for us.
Yeah, so the report for the communications committee is that people have been working. We set a date, May 5th, the first Monday of every month for our standing meeting. We're building coalitions. We've got Indivisible has now joined our committee. We're reaching out. We're kind of in a process point with everything right now. And Our big item for tonight is a motion. And sorry, the motion is, I have to go to that page. It's a little bit long, but basically it builds on the motion that we had before, which was with California Democratic Party to try to get them to sort of step up and let them know that we think that central committees should be more involved and that their messaging needs to really improve. So to reinforce that, we have a new motion which basically says that to reinforce that, to set up messaging and communication, that we ask, we send out an email to all the central committees and see if they would like to meet so we can talk about improving communication further. And let's see, it says basically state central committees, this is the motion. State central committees meet to discuss developing communication, media methodologies to achieve this goal. The goal is communication with, which we've already talked about. This meeting will take place before the May convention. Primary to this effort is the position of central committees and their clubs as bridges between constituents and elected officials. CDP has enormous resources, but our current methods need substantial improvement to optimize these resources. Current methods would benefit from innovation in messaging, sharing of resources and knowledge, and community input and involvement. We need to use modern social media tools, as well as dusting off tried and true successful methods, such as the precinct captain system. By meeting and communicating, we can share our ideas, and in so doing, develop and optimize resources and successful strategies, have ongoing multimedia education sessions, establish and expand relationships between blue, purple, red districts, and adopt sister districts. And finally, we need to discuss how to implement targeted, consistent messaging. So that is our latest effort. Are there any questions?
I would like to second the motion that that Michelle put forward.
Okay.
And I just want to add that I think it's a great idea because I think if we could have relationships with these, especially purple districts, we could also maybe figure out what their needs are if we need to help them during the election cycle and do targeted types of postcarding or whatever they need. If they even need people to come down and do canvassing, that could be something we could help out in the future. But it would be establishing these relationships. So I think it's a great thing that that you're doing, Michelle.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of people's ideas went into that to come up with that. I think the important thing here is to start the conversation. That's really what we've taken the lead on, that to bring people together and to kind of break this sort of a silo effect. So I think that's the value in this. And everyone I talk to outside of Solano really likes the idea of more open communication and sharing knowledge. So it's been a really, really good thing, I think.
Michelle, could you help me, if I'm going to put up a poll, I need to phrase the question that's in the poll. Could you help me with that? I'm not gathering exactly what I should put there.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit long, so I could um, just copy and paste it and send it to you if that would work, Steve. Yeah, let me do that.
Or you could just ask if we support the resolution. That's all. I mean, you don't have to state it again, I don't think.
Well, oh, okay. I'm just sending it to Steve right now, so he's got it.
Michelle, could you also send it to me so I can capture it for the minutes?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay,
See if that'll work here.
and Don, I'm gonna put you on it too. And should get it now.
And maybe it could be sent to the whole group. That would be great. You don't have to do it, but maybe Kathy could send it out.
In the future, I will send it before a meeting, but these things kind of happen quickly and sometimes they're sort of last minute. So,
Yeah, I would have preferred that we had had discussion before the vote, but that is moot at this point. So once this resolution is voting is completed, we will move forward on the actions asked for in the resolution.
great. One of the things I don't think I said that should have been included, too late now, but I'll say it anyway, is in the interest of, because the idea is to do this before the convention, that that Don has 3 days to do his magic. We now know he's a fabulous writer, to do anything he needs to do and then to send it out. And if he doesn't, then let's go ahead and let Kathy or Amber send it out. And I would like to be on the RSVP, so I can keep track of what's going on, since the communications committee will be probably chairing this meeting, and I've got to get ready for it.
Do what we will do. All right. Thank you for that. We will do record there was one no vote for that motion. Moving on to the legislation committee. All right, Bonnie, you're up.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I think it would be, so all of you should have received my report. The main thing at this point is we have made recommendations to support a certain number of bills. Here's the link to the list of bills. And we could do it one of two ways. I know last time someone asked to kind of look at the bills, and we could look at the bills quickly. Either I could share my screen, or either one of Dawn or Steve, you could pull it up. It's up to you. Or, if folks want to take a look themselves and see if there are any extractions, but I'm going to ask that we adopt the recommendations of the legislative committee to support a number of bills, and there's one opposed bill, and there's a handful of watch bills that we haven't made any kind of recommendation on, but we're going to follow. This just lists the bills. The link, the bill number is a link to Ledge Info, which gives full information on the bills. There's a bill author and title, and a short synopsis, as well as where it is in the committee process at this point. So those are the bills that we have recommended support. Those are, first of all, the assembly bills. These are the Senate bills. And then we have one opposed bill, and we can talk about that if folks need more information on that. And then a handful of watch bills. There are also some resources there. So this comes from the committee, so I'm going to assume we don't need a second on a motion, unless you want to ask for a motion and second, but it does come from the committee.
Does anyone have any questions on this report, or any bills that they wish to pull or discuss? Not seeing anyone's hands.
I have a point of information. This is Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Did Christopher Cabaldon pull that SB 5?
Not that he pulled a number of the amendments. I don't know if he pulled it. The bill, it looks like, was only heard today, so it's not up to date. And I didn't really go deeply and look at today's outcomes. So all I know is he had a number of amendments and then went back to the original bill language. That's my understanding. And what this does is this has to do with California Forever. And what this bill does is I believe it exempts farm agricultural land that's not for development. It exempts them from certain taxes where like a development like California Forever, they would not have that tax exemption status if they were not using it for agricultural purposes. I mean, that's my understanding.
Hey, Paula, your hand's up.
Oh, so I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Oh, I thought I'm sorry. If you have a question to follow up, Anna, please do.
No, thank you. I just thought I heard something at the Board of Supervisors meeting yesterday, but Supervisor Brown or Williams may be able to clarify something that Christopher Cabaldon had put out a bill that he had sent out, something similar. I thought it was this one, and then
Well, he had sent out a big amendment to it.
Okay, so never mind. Thank you very much for the clarification. Thank you.
And then he took away it withdrew the amendment, is my understanding. So it's back to the original bill, which is pretty straightforward, I think.
Okay, Paula.
You know, explanation of SB 5 is really good. I have never understood that bill and I've studied it. I don't have a question, Bonnie. I just wanted to thank you for the report out in time for me to read it before this meeting. So I don't have any questions. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And if you didn't look at it today or before this meeting, it would not have been as up to date as it is now. It is a living document that I will be editing along the way, but the link that you have will go to the same document that's edited each time. So just so you're aware of that.
Thank you.
All right. Unless there are any other questions, we did have a motion to adopt. I'm assuming both of this. Oh, Monica.
You guys, you need to vote no on 5. It's not what it seems like. We looked at it all weekend. Even whatever Chris, he didn't even come and talk to us. So I would urge on whenever it's voted on that you guys do not support it.
So
it
Monica,
takes away the counties. I don't care what Chris did, the old or the new, whatever he did today, it has nothing, it has to do with what happened. It's going to take away the county in terms of what we're going to be able to do with our land. There's more than just dealing with the one or two things. It's how it's written. So I would urge
so are you talking about so first of all, procedurally, what I'm going to ask for is that you extract the bill from, and then let's go through and vote on the rest as consent. And then, if you want to discuss one particular bill, then that gives us a chance, because I'd like to know a little bit more myself. So can we, Dawn, is that okay with you if we just, Monica, if you want to extract this, then let's take it off of the consent, and then we can vote on the consent and we can talk about this bill.
I would have no issue with that, and I would not be I would prefer that particular vote on SB 5 wait until we see what more happens, because there's more to that. And the conversation we had yesterday is that people are all freaking out over something that does not have any meaning. So I'm just saying, it's not like what you guys think it's going to be. There's background stuff to it.
I know, like I said, there was a huge amendment that went out. There was a lot of discussion. So if you want to extract it, otherwise we can't move on.
I think got to the point where you're both repeating yourselves. So, however, this did come from the committee. So let me ask other members of the legislation committee who are on the call. could you raise your hand? Let me know if you have wish to weigh in on this. Michelle? Michelle, your hand's up.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I was going to make a motion about what Bonnie said, to go ahead and put the other bills on the consent calendar and pull this one so that we could talk about it. But if other people want to discuss things first, I'm not sure what the correct procedure is here, Dawn.
Yeah, I basically want to hear from the committee members. Does anyone have, let me just rephrase it this way. If you have an objection to us pulling SB5 at this point and voting on the rest of the agenda, please raise your hand. If not, would you go ahead and take your hands down? Okay, it looks like there's no objection. So unless I hear differently, we will proceed with the rest of the committee's report, adopting it with the exception of SB5. So if we will, I don't know if we have a poll to that effect ready to launch.
I'll be ready with that in just a second.
Okay.
And just to be clear, remember, you're just voting on all the bills except for SB5. And pardon me, Dawn, for repeating, but I just want to be really clear on that. SB5 has been extracted from the recommendation. And I'm putting into the chat the bill language. So Dawn, I don't know if you want to show the bill language. But if you want to follow that link, you can look at the bill. It's it's short and sweet.
Yeah, it's funny. Hold on a second. Has everyone had a chance to vote? All right, I think we've given people plenty of opportunity to vote. Okay, so the Ledge Committee report, with the exception of SB5, is approved.
Was it Pat who seconded that?
It's a committee report, does not require a second.
Okay, thanks.
This is the language of SB5.
Okay, so basically the bill is that it would exclude the taxes levied upon a parcel of land enrolled in or subject to the Williamson Act contract or a farmland security zone contract as specified from the above described allocation to the district. So so Monica, I'm just curious, what was it? Were you discussing the amendment or were you discussing the bill itself when you had a long discussion? I'd like to hear what the discussion was.
The entire discussion that we had over the weekend is that embedded in the language is to take away the county's decision as to how we vote on the area, because all of this area that everybody's talking about is in the county. It's not city. So that anything that gets changed has to come to LAFCO. And what is they're trying to do is an end around, very similar to what's happening with the batteries, that we object to it. And then there's an end around so that the state has a group there that's going to make the change. So my suggestion would be either just not bring it forward to vote on it at all, or move to oppose. So to be clean, just don't bring it forward and we won't vote on it at all.
I have a suggestion, and maybe I would need a second to this, is just put it into the watch category. So we don't take a position at this point, but I would think that it's important for us to follow it and see what happens.
If I may respond to that through the chair, that would be fine. But please do not support it. It took all weekend. Like 5 or 6 of us were working on it, going over, and we sent out information. And it's not what you think it is.
Well, like I said, and I know that there was a huge amendment, and so maybe, again, let's just put it into watch.
Thank you, Chair. I support putting this bill in the watch category.
Okay, we have a motion and what I heard as 2 seconds to have this as a watch. Does anyone have any further discussion on this particular question?
The motion was made by who?
Motion was made by Bonnie, seconded
Okay.
by Carrie.
Carrie.
Jack, your hands up.
Thank you. Just agreeing with everything Monica and then Carrie said, I'm really concerned about this. So I would support putting this in the watch category and just seeing what develops for right now. It seems pretty problematic for county funding.
Okay, thank you. Carrie, is your hand up still or again? Okay, take that as a still. All right. Cassandra, your hand is up.
Yes, I just wanted to be clear that this wasn't a discussion amongst the entire board. A letter was sent out on the behalf of the board with the county administrator, and we didn't get access to the letter until after 5 o'clock on a Friday. And that's when the edits and the amendments were brought before the board. So I do agree with that this needs to be a watch bill versus an oppose or a support bill. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll admit I was checking frantically to make sure that Supervisor Williams was also in the meeting, since we are getting very close to talking county business. With that, I think we've covered this. Do we have a poll ready to move this to watch? Okay. Please vote.
Hey, in the poll?
I think we've had plenty of opportunity for people to vote. And it is on our watch list. All right, thank you to the Legislation Committee.
Thank you.
Especially you, Bonnie. And next we have announcements. Does anyone have any announcements that need to be made or they'd like to make at this time? Kathy, your hand's up.
Yes. Oh, and maybe Christina, maybe we want to make the same announcement?
Probably.
I'm going to let Christina make this announcement since it's going to be at her house.
Okay. The Progressive Democrats of Benicia are, instead of a normal Zoom meeting for our May event, are hosting a Get to Know the Progressive Democrats of Benicia happy hour at our home in Benicia. Happy to share the address. I'll put that in the chat. It's from 4 to 7 on May 10th. we'll have snacks and beverages and cocktails and really just an opportunity to get to know each other and make sure that we're finding time to share space with each other that is outside of the Brady Bunch box that we all see here. So love to have you join us if you're in the area on May 10th, and I'll add that information into the chat.
Can you say the time again?
Sure, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on May 10th.
Which I believe is a Saturday.
It is a Saturday.
So those of us who still work for a living, 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 can make it. Thank you. We look forward to it. Those of you who can make the trek down to Benicia and a most excellent backyard, I'd encourage you to do so. Bonnie, your hand's up.
Through the chair, Kathy, can that be sent to the whole central committee via email? Would that be
Yes.
okay?
Yes, we're
Yeah,
getting
I
an
appreciate that.
announcement right now.
Great, thank you.
Right. And I know that the Northern Club is hosting a coffee this Saturday in Dixon as part of their community outreach efforts. And along with many other clubs who are doing a lot of good work in their communities to reach out and connect with the broader community. Does anyone else have any announcements? I do actually have one more thing. As is customary at the state convention, the party will be pausing to recognize good Democrats who have passed away since the last convention. They've asked for us to submit the list by May 6th. So for those of you who can kindly help me remember who has departed us within the last year and share those names with me over the next week, I would appreciate it so I can submit that list onto the state party. I know Robert Padilla was one. There's a couple others that we learned about sort of after the fact that we should be adding. So if you could get those names to me, I would appreciate it. Any other announcements? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those who are in favor say aye.
Woohoo!
Aye.
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 Hi.
All right.
I'm out of here.
Hi.
All right. Happy birthday, Paula, and good night, everyone.
Happy birthday, Paula. Adios.
Happy birthday. Who seconded
Happy
that one?
birthday, Paula.
It was Karen.